Next on Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly, Connor Buckley of Old Glory, D.C., John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Brian Ray of America's Rugby News, and the best dang recap in rugby. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle.
There is a massive responsibility on the 23 that are privileged enough to step out on that field today.
Let's get it started with rugby's best recap. In South Florida, Miami and New England look to be set for an enticing matchup and real litmus test for a surging Sharks side. But the Free Jacks sent a B team, and the Sunshine Staters took care of business, and the Faux Jacks trademark behind fullback and field general Shane O'Leary, who had 15 points. Lost in the shuffle was a beast of a performance by Vian Conradi with 2 tries, 12 carries, 52 meters, and 10 tackles. Final score, Sharks 30, Faux Jacks 19. In Space City, Western Conference powers Houston and Utah, that's a lot of Hughes, kicked off in what many thought would be the game of the week. But 19-year-old hooker Seth Smith bullied his way for a Sabercats try in the 15th minute, and fans of the Warriors became Warriors, as in worry. And they had good reason to be worried after Jordan Trainer's yellow card in the 21st minute gave Smith another chance just 3 minutes later, and he punished Utah with his second try. Houston dominated the match and the scoreboard in a statement win, 40-19 Houston. Up in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle and San Diego continued their storied rivalry, and their 20th all-time meeting did not disappoint. Seattle looked to be in pole position with Duncan Matthews' try of the week, but the Legion battled back and grabbed the lead in the 68th minute on a Ryan James try with Dan Creel in the sin bin. But the Seawolves bit back with player of the match Olojuwon O.J. Noah scoring at death to win it in front of a frenzied Seattle crowd, 29-25 Seawolves. In the Tar Heel state, some were thinking Old Glory might be the Anthem's first conquest. Yours truly wasn't one of them. After a slow start, DC left Carolina's 7-5 lead in the rearview mirror, spurred by number 15 Damian Hoyland's try and one from today's guest, Connor Buckley. 7 tries in all did DC score, winning 41-19. The Chicago Hounds and the LA No Nicknames put on a Monday night performance that Major League Rugby would love to bottle for every Monday. The teams traded tries in the first 15 minutes and each scored in the second half before Jason Dom's try gave Los Angeles the lead. But a penalty try in the 68th minute against LA and coinciding yellow card had the Hounds smelling victory. But Franco Vandenberg scored at death, giving LA the win while turning the league playoff picture further on its head. Final score, LA 26, Chicago 24. And we can all use a break after that, so why not Rugby Morning's Coffee Break, our recurring segment with John Fitzpatrick calling in from Washington, D.C. John, hello, how are you? What news?
Here's a song you thought you weren't going to hear ever again, but we have to play it now, given Miami Sharks win over the New England Free Jacks. You ready?
Yeah.
Miami Sharks do, Miami Sharks do.
I jog to that every morning. I don't know what you're talking about not hearing it.
Miami Sharks. Matt, did you have the Miami Sharks beat New England Free Jacks on your bingo card this weekend?
After I saw the lineup, yes. Prior to the lineups being issued and what we said on camera, thinking that New England was going to go down there and hammer them, but they didn't have any. They brought a B team. So, no, that doesn't surprise me. And Miami is a decent team. They're not the also-rans that some people like you made them out to be in the beginning of the season. Whereas I said they were a good team on paper. Let's see how they mesh. And they're meshing. But, you know, that's no test, that New England match. That was a B team. Next.
No, we're not done with this. So Miami's 7-6, right? They're certainly in the thick of the playoff chase. Matt, it looks like you've been on the wrong end of a few bets in your lifetime. What are the odds that Miami is going to represent the Eastern Conference in the MLR final then?
Not sure what you meant by that underhanded insult, but I do think I know what you mean. 0. Next.
Okay. All right. Moving on. I did want to have a correction here from last week's episode. We talked about how Anthem head coach Alama Iramia had stepped aside and Augustin Cavalieri. Apparently, that's just on an interim basis. So Alama's doing some stuff with the USA men's.
More fake news from Rugby Morning. More fake rugby news from Rugby Morning. Next.
Okay, well, Matt, you were definitely sleepless on Seattle. Easy for me to say. But they're now 6 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw. They're just outside of the playoff chase. Matt, what do you have against Broccoli Guy and Tom Hanks? Why did you write off Seattle?
I think Broccoli Guy is a little bit creepy. I like him, but he is a little creepy. I didn't write off Seattle. When did you say I wrote off Seattle?
I said you were sleepless on Seattle.
Okay. Yeah, I was tossing and turning, tossing and turning, not turving. That's a different thing. I was tossing and turning.
Is that a salad joke?
What in the Sam Hill happened to them, and now they are getting healthy and they're beating good teams. But LA with the big win on Monday night in Chicago. Amazing what's going on. We're right to the thick of it, and both divisions are in the thick of it. Next.
Well, Matt, yeah, what more can you say about that? The Eastern Conference is tight. The Western Conference is tight. There's 3 weeks left. Every team is practically in this. Results are important. All possible table points are important. We've got some big rivalry games coming up. New England's hosting Old Glory DC. Whoo, Matty boy. I mean, you're losing your hair over this. I'm excited.
Oh, another ball joke. That never gets old with you, big nose. You know what? Every team except for one is involved in the playoff hunt right now. 10 teams out of 11. What could you ask for more? You can't ask for more, right? You can't. Well, you could ask for 11 out of 11, but that's somebody's going to be mathematically eliminated. Why not get out of the way, Anthem? Thank you. Next.
Are you not entertained?
I am entertained, but I think let's switch gears here. How about USA Rugby?
Yeah, I want to talk about that real quickly. A great report came out recently that USA Rugby has contracted 38 players, 38 USA Women's Eagles in the run-up to Rugby World Cup 2025, obviously coming up this summer. Matt, that's pretty awesome. They join a few other nations now where the players are getting professional contracts. What do you make of all this?
I think it's great. I mean, let's keep in mind they're 6-month contracts, so you're still confronted as a player that has a day job what to do here, right? It's not like they're saying, okay, we got you covered for a year. We got you covered for 6 months. So there's that. But it's definitely a great step indeed. And it might provide for some much-needed continuity and some familiarity and cohesiveness, all those key components to a team winning. Next.
Well, Matt, it's great news, but it's also coming on some unfortunate news with women's elite rugby and some broadcast issues. I mean, can we watch these matches anymore? What's going on here?
As of now, no. They issued a statement last week that said they will be suspending broadcasts right now because of a situation with DAZN, their carrier. They said there's things they can control and can't control, and it's the what goes along with starting out a professional league. But it is, I suggested going to YouTube, right? If you have all that production stuff or capability, just put it on YouTube. You don't need DAZN. People can find YouTube more readily anyway. But it's not looking good. The signs are not looking good. I'm hearing rumors, and I don't want to get into rumors because they're not substantiated or I haven't heard from both parties involved. But there's some not so great news coming out of there, unfortunately. Final thoughts, John, before we boot you to the curb.
Yeah.
I didn't think you had any. Thank you, John. We'll be right back with Connor Buckley of Old Glory DC after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
We are back with Mr. Connor Buckley of Old Glory DC. Connor, welcome back to MLR Weekly.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
It's great to see you, Connor. For people that might be new fans or just don't know, I'm going to go over some of your history and your bio. Correct me if I'm wrong at any point. You're from Rockaway Beach in Brooklyn. and a passionate rugby fan. You started playing as a kid with the Rockaway program, which is a good one and has produced some legends like Artie Fitzpatrick, Bob and George Johnson. George, who was the fireman to the left in that iconic photo after 9/11 at Ground Zero where they're hoisting the flag. You went to Xavier High School, that powerhouse on 16th Street in New York City. And then you went to Wyona College in New Rochelle and played for the legendary coach Bruce McLean before signing with Rugby New York in the MLR. And your pathway is purely American and purely New York, which was really unique. But similarly, your teammate John Powers basically had the exact same pathway, which is like having two astronauts go to the same elementary school, college, high school. It's absolutely insane. I smell a conspiracy. Explain it to me.
I think you nailed it, Matt. No, I think Rockaway, Xavier, Iona is a bit of a factory for pushing some good players through. So, like you said, there are some pretty damn good coaches too, like Bruce McLean, and I've had guys like Mike Petri and Mike Tolkien too. So, yeah, I mean, some good players have come out of there.
And did you know that John Powers is a Pisces as well?
No, I know that's not true.
All right, moving right along. Yeah, in the scrum half department, you mentioned Petri, 3-time Rugby World Cup scrum half for Team USA, so that's a pretty good mentor. But you also had a great mentor in New York in All Blacks scrum half, Andy Ellis. Tell us about that. I mean, that had to be really cool for you.
I mean, I've had it pretty good. Yeah, obviously Petri was great for me. Still is great for me. I mean, I talk to both of them all the time. But yeah, Petri in my younger years and still keep in touch. And then, yeah, Andy, I mean, two very different guys and two different styles of play, which was also good for me. And yeah, I mean, they've been great for me. Andy more so even on like the mental side of things, he's really, really good at that stuff.
If there's one thing that you took away from Ellis and one thing that you took away from Petri, could you pinpoint that?
Oh, Ellis, I would say he always said the mental game was way more important than, any of your physical attributes. And I couldn't agree more with him. I've seen so many players over the years who have, all of the attributes you need. Maybe it's the skills, the size, the speed, the athleticism, but they can't always put it together in their head, which, affects how they play on the field. Whereas Andy was, he had a process and he was good at it. And when things didn't go his way or he made a mistake, he reset really quickly and his next contribution was positive. So I think he was really good at that. And then Petri, man, I've known him for a long time, so I don't know if I can pinpoint one thing. But man, he probably work rate, like off the field, I don't know that anyone worked harder than him. Even when he was, older towards the end of his career and even sometimes retired, like I would do fitness things at Xavier or in college and he would like compete with me, which is it's not fun for him.
Yeah.
But man, he's a competitor and, yeah, he's, as far as work rate goes, I'm not sure that there's many like Mike.
Well, you're a competitive guy too. You have that competitive fire and I have seen it up close and personal. And you find yourself, competing for playing time, right? It was the same way in New York. You have it in DC. This time you have 3 American scrum halves, which is, again, very unique. What does the competition change your style of play or influence your style of play?
No, not at all. I think it's important, like same way in New York when I was competing with Andy or Connor McManus or, a few other nines that have rolled through, and here in DC, Ethan and John LaFlave. I think, no, you need to know your style and just own it and be really good at it. And yeah, you're working on the things that, maybe aren't the best parts of your game. But like, I know when I go out there, I'm just focusing on playing fast and accurate and pushing my team around the field. I'm not trying to do things that, maybe Ethan's really good at. Like Ethan's a hell of a defender. But no, I'm just trying to be myself out there.
All right, this one's from the dumb question department. But would you like to just be able to relax knowing that you got the starting job, or does it almost kind of drive you more?
I think it's important that you have competition, like at every position, not only nines, but, No, I need to be getting better. So having a guy like Ethan next to me is getting me better. If I didn't have somebody like him pushing him, I still like to think I would push myself, but there's an extra 10% when there's somebody on your heel,
More generally speaking about the scrum half position, what's your take on the new laws around scrum half spacing? Has it affected your game or not affected your game?
No, I don't think it's affected. I think it's still probably the refs are still figuring it out too. So some of them are on top of it, some of them aren't. But no, I don't think it changes much for us. Like, if I'm going to have a dart, like I expect to get hit. So, I don't expect to get a penalty around the breakdown for getting hit. Yeah, obviously you can probably, act a bit and sell it, but
This isn't soccer, man. Come on.
I don't think you'll see those rules last very long.
Okay. All right. So you're coming off a big win, a nice win, a relatively easy win for you guys. It's easy to say this from the chair that it's easy to win in rugby, but you beat the Anthem, and that you needed to do that. Some people were saying, "Oh, this was going to be the one where they lose it, or the Anthem gets the win and Old Glory under it." And I'm like, "That's not going to happen." And I saw the lineup, and I'm like, "It's definitely."
Yeah.
How happy are you that you're not playing for Anthem?
No, I'm sure. I mean, it's been tough for them. Obviously, I think they've also been very injured. I mean, if you look at the beginning of the season, they were in every game. I mean, they had that Houston game. They lost on a penalty kick off a kickoff. They should have won the game. They played us close early in the year. I know they had a bunch of other close games. Like when they're at full strength, I think you see that they're very close. Unfortunately, they've had quite a few injuries, and it's hard to keep the morale up when some of your best players are on the sideline.
Let's talk about the team a little bit. I've been watching your games. I've even been working on the games, and in an oversimplistic view, right? I'm not on the pitch, but watching the games, it seems to me that some of the basics, if they were just tweaked, you guys might have three more wins. I'm talking about unforced errors, knock-ons, and maybe some unnecessary penalties. With that competitive fire with you, how do you channel that? And what do you do?
It's tricky, right? Because you don't want to go into your shell. Like you want to keep everybody confident, so you don't want to like totally change your game. But at the same time, yeah, like guys are working their skills every week. No one's trying to drop a ball, no one's trying to throw a bad pass. So it's not
or that extra pass, right? That might not be necessary. Maybe eat the ball.
Yeah, you could say that too. And those conversations have been had. And I think what you've probably noticed the past couple games too, or past three, where we've gotten 5-point wins during the row, you might have seen us kick the ball a little more and try and squeeze teams defensively and make them make mistakes, And then when it's time to attack, guns blazing, we're going 100% full speed, and we back everybody's skill sets. And
you had some injuries that you were dealing with. Every team has injuries, but you guys had a good share of them. And now it seems like everybody's starting to get healthy. You had your back line intact, minus Robertson, of course, but Emery's filling in nicely. So the one thing that you can hope for at this point in the season is controlling your own destiny, and you guys control your own destiny.
Yeah.
How much of a focus do you put on that, or is it just the game ahead?
It's always been about us. We're not really, obviously to a certain degree, like, last night it was nice to see LA get a win over Chicago, but at the end of the day, like you said, we do control our own destiny. And, if we just worry about ourselves every week and, we're starting to play some good rugby and we're putting it together, and I think everybody's understanding the game plan, which is you're starting to see it on the field. It's pretty good. But again, it's just we're worried about us. But losing, like you mentioned, losing Jason Robertson was probably a shock to the team for a few weeks. We had to figure things out. Luckily, I played some 9 with Jason Emery in New York, where he had played some 10 and obviously 12 as well. But so thankfully it's been pretty seamless. So he's done a really good job of replacing some pretty big shoes.
You got it. And you put yourselves again, you've overcome that now, and you steadied the ship, so to speak, and you have this big match facing New England up in Quincy, right? But you guys have played them well in the past, and you have that experience of winning a championship. So really, this can't be a bigger game, right?
I mean, it's towards the end of the year. This is a huge matchup, Memorial Day weekend. I think it's pretty exciting.
We're winding down. I got final questions.
All right.
Coming from New York City, have you found any decent pizza or bagel in D.C.?
No comment.
That is no. How much do you miss our beloved New York Mets?
Oh, man. They were down playing the Nationals a few weeks ago. So it was good to see them then. But, yeah. I've got
Mets garb?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I won't go to a Nationals game if, and wear Mets gear if they're not playing the Mets. I won't. Well, I'll take the Nationals as my second team now, but I do miss the Mets. I got home for a weekend in April and went to the game where Lindor homered twice, so that was pretty good.
So you have to come back more often because we can use that. Yeah. All right, so last question. What's life after rugby?
Oh, jeez, man. That's a loaded question.
Hey, what are you thinking? I
don't know.
15 years from now, when you retire from the MLR and you have your 4 trophies, you have your 4 shields. I'm lobbying for that shield to be changed to a cup, by the way.
You need something you can drink out of, right?
Yeah, and take around for stories, not carry like a cement slab around.
The shield's pretty cool, though, too, if you've seen it. It is.
Whatever. I've held the shield. I'm not. Anyway, that's not what this is about. What's life after rugby?
Oh, who knows, man? That's like you said. Hopefully it's 15 years away. I'll figure that out when I get there.
All right. Fair enough. Connor Buckley of Old Glory, D.C. Thank you, sir, for coming up.
Thanks, Matt.
We'll be right back with Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News after this. And now for your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. Special things happen when Seattle and San Diego get together, and this reunion was no different. Duncan Matthews dazzled by taking a ball 52 meters in the 52nd minute, ignoring heavy traffic and would-be tacklers for a spectacular try in what would ultimately be a thrilling Seawolves victory. And that is your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. Here's your TRO, the Rugby Odds MLR picks of the week via WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, legendary USA Olympic Sevens coach Mike Friday, and King Gifte Belu, inventor of words.
Too many points. 11 points. Give me DC.
You know those are anomalies whenever NOLA loses to DC. So look for them to be able to bounce back against Utah, cover the spread, get the win on this.
I'm going LA to win and cover against Miami.
And hey, be sure to check out the Rugby Odds, the critically acclaimed sports entertainment show featuring big-name talent, exclusive highlights, insightful opinions, and irreverent, if not downright naughty, behavior. And we're back with Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News / Ray's Rugby. Brian, I'm going to throw you right into the fire. What the heck is going on in San Diego?
It's a tough one to say, to lose a game like that. First of all, I mean, credit to Seattle pulling it out again. The fire, the last, seconds of the game, credit to their character. But, you got to be wondering what's going on with San Diego. They're missing Poitevin. Obviously, Christian Poitevin is such an outstanding flanker and a big part of that team. But, just missing one guy can't be the issue. And it's been ongoing since 5-0 start to the season, and they've crumbled since. So
2-7 since.
Yeah, that's just not acceptable if you're a San Diego Legion fan. So, they've got some issues that they need to sort out, but quick, because, the clock is ticking. They've only got 2 games left. You think they probably have to win both of those. They might even miss to imagine going 5-0 and then possibly missing out of the playoffs entirely. That's,
Well, it speaks to the West. It speaks to the West because there are some great talent out there and teams are playing hard. And all right, let's switch gears and go to our predictions, or your predictions, for the upcoming matches. These odds are courtesy of the Rugby Odds, the greatest rugby show on the planet, global rugby show on the planet. First one up, Seattle hosting Houston. Houston, though, road favorites by 5 points.
But Seattle, man, the last 2 games, they just, they showed up when it counted. They needed to get those wins, probably against the odds, so maybe they can do it again in their home pitch. So I certainly wouldn't count them out. I'll take your spread, Houston by 5, but man, this is going to be a tight game, I think.
All right, the next one up is New England hosting DC. We're thinking this won't be the New England B team.
I'm certain it won't be in front of the home crowd. This will feel like a playoff game. I'll take the Free Jacks. I think this will be a 1-score game.
Okay. Carolina at home versus Chicago. Chicago minus 12. Chicago.
Yeah, unfortunate campaign for Anthem this season. We'll take Chicago in a fairly sizable victory.
And then we have NOLA at home. And this is another tough one to call. Utah minus 5. Road favorites by 5 points, coming off of the hammering by Houston.
I'll back NOLA in this one. I think it'll be a squeaker, NOLA by 3 or something. But I, with their backs to the wall, they just have to win.
And then we have the Western Force minus 2.5 versus the Waratahs. No, we don't. That's the wrong thing on the teleprompter. It's LA at home minus 3 against their brothers from warm weather, Miami.
I like LA at home. I like that spread that you've got, so I'll go with that. But again, this is going to be an exciting game. Both of those teams want to win. Miami wants to go to the postseason, and if they can pull out a win here, they just might clinch it. So one to watch.
Brian, before we let you go, final thought.
Well, here we are at the end of the season. It's fun to see, some of these unknown kind of characters and the impacts they're going to make. Even though Chicago didn't win. How about Peyton Wall? What a great try he scored in that. But it was the tackle on Mikey Sosene, guy that stopped a certain try that I thought was going to get Chicago the win. In the end, it didn't quite turn out. But I love seeing these guys, these character players come out of the woodwork in these final weeks. We'll see what impact they make. Juan D. Oliver, another one with Houston, who's suddenly come on fire, playing out of position on the wing. So I love that kind of stuff, and it'll be interesting to see which unknown guys or unsung heroes show up in the next few weeks.
And it was great seeing off-season acquisition Mika Cruze back with Seattle. Great to see him back in action. Didn't think that was going to happen this season, and he looked good. So there you have it, Brian. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so I want to thank Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News, John Fitzpatrick from Rugby Morning, Connor Buckley of Old Glory DC, thank you for tuning in. Please check out that aforementioned The Rugby Odds. It's a good show. You don't have to know anything about anything to like it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.